Reflection. The Enduring Influence of Josephus, a Reflection. The Enduring Influence of Josephus, a Reflection. By Reverend Virgilio Almario de las Armas. Preface. In the pages that follow, we will embark on a journey into the life and works of Flavius Josephus, an ancient historian whose writings have continued to shape our understanding of the history of Judaism, early Christianity, and the Roman Empire. Josephus, who lived in the 1st century AD, stands as a pivotal figure in historical scholarship, and his accounts remain vital to historians, theologians, and anyone interested in the ancient world. His unique perspective as both a Jew and a Roman citizen gives us a rare and invaluable lens through which we can study this transformative period of history. This work, The Enduring Influence of Josephus, a Reflection, is an attempt to reflect on the legacy and ongoing relevance of Josephus' writings. His works, particularly the Jewish War and Antiquities of the Jews, have had a profound impact on the way we understand not only the ancient world but also the origins and development of Christianity. Through his eyes, we witness the struggles, victories, and downfalls of a people whose history shaped the course of civilization. I invite you to explore the lasting influence of Josephus, to appreciate how his words continue to resonate, and to reflect on how we can apply his insights in our own time. Dedication. This book is dedicated to all the seekers of truth, the lovers of history, and those who find in the ancient texts a beacon for understanding the world today. May Josephus' reflections on the past guide us toward wisdom, as we too navigate the complexities of our time. To those who hunger for a deeper understanding of faith, history, and the intertwining of both, this is for you. Description. The Enduring Influence of Josephus, a Reflection, takes an in-depth look at the remarkable contributions of Flavius Josephus, the Jewish historian whose works have preserved vital historical accounts of the ancient world. Josephus was a man of contrasts, both a witness to and participant in the events he chronicled. His writings offer an unparalleled view into the Jewish-Roman conflict, the Jewish diaspora, and the early days of Christianity. In this reflection, we explore Josephus' complex legacy and examine the lasting impact of his works on modern scholarship. From the destruction of Jerusalem to the internal dynamics of Jewish life under Roman rule, his narratives serve as both historical records and profound reflections on the human condition. In addition, this book delves into how Josephus' perspectives have shaped theological discussions, particularly in understanding the cultural and religious backdrop against which Christianity emerged. This book is not just for scholars or those well-versed in ancient history. It is for anyone who seeks to understand the broader tapestry of faith, culture, and history. The echoes of Josephus' influence still resonate today, making this reflection both a tribute to his enduring impact and a tool for contemporary exploration. Table of Contents. Chapter 1, Introduction to Josephus. Historical context of Josephus. Overview of Josephus' works. Importance of Josephus in historical scholarship. Chapter 2, The Life of Josephus. Early life and background. Military career and the Jewish revolt. Exile and relations with Rome. Chapter 3, Key works of Josephus. The Antiquities of the Jews. The Jewish War against Apian. Chapter 4, Josephus and Jewish identity. Josephus' view on Jewish culture. The role of the temple in Jewish life. Josephus as a bridge between cultures. Chapter 5, The influence of Josephus on early Christianity. Josephus' impact on Christian historiography. References to Josephus in early Christian texts. The role of Josephus in understanding the New Testament. Chapter 6, Josephus in modern scholarship. The rediscovery of Josephus in the Renaissance. Josephus in contemporary historical studies. The relevance of Josephus today. Chapter 7, The enduring legacy of Josephus. Josephus in literature and art. Josephus and popular culture. The future of Josephus studies. Chapter 8, Conclusion. Summary of key themes. Lasting lessons from Josephus. Final thoughts on his enduring influence. Chapter 1, Introduction to Josephus. In this chapter, we will delve into the life, times, and legacy of Flavius Josephus, providing a comprehensive overview of the historical context in which he lived, a survey of his key works, and an exploration of the enduring significance of his contributions to historical scholarship. Historical context of Josephus. Flavius Josephus was born Yosef ben Matityahu in 37 CE in Jerusalem, during a turbulent period in Jewish history. The political climate of Judea at the time was one of strife and unrest, as the region was under Roman occupation. Josephus was born into a Jewish priestly family, with a heritage that placed him at the heart of Jewish religious life. He also received a thorough education in Jewish law and Greek philosophy, which would later influence his writings. Josephus' life spanned several pivotal events in Jewish and Roman history, including the First Jewish-Roman War, 66 to 73 CE, the destruction of the Second Temple in Jerusalem in 70 CE, and the aftermath of the rebellion that ultimately led to the Roman subjugation of Judea. These historical events deeply influenced his views and writings. Josephus himself was initially involved in the Jewish revolt against Rome as a military commander in Galilee, but he later became a prisoner of war and was taken to Rome, where he was granted Roman citizenship and adopted the name Flavius after his patron, the Roman Emperor Vespasian. The period in which Josephus lived was characterized by profound conflict between the Jewish people and Roman imperial power. It was a time of upheaval and transformation, marked by the clash of cultures, religious ideals, and political ambitions. This historical backdrop is essential for understanding Josephus' writings, as it gave him a unique perspective as both an insider and an observer. His writings reflect the complexities of a Jewish man caught between his heritage and the overwhelming power of the Roman Empire. Overview of Josephus' works. Josephus was not merely a passive historian, he was an active participant in the events he chronicled, which makes his works all the more valuable. His most famous and influential works are the Jewish War and Antiquities of the Jews. Both of these works provide critical insights into the Jewish world during the Second Temple period and the early stages of the rise of Christianity. The Jewish War, c. 75 to 79 CE. This is perhaps Josephus' most well-known work, which chronicles the Jewish revolt against Rome from 66 to 73 CE. Josephus details the causes of the conflict, the major battles, and the eventual fall of Jerusalem and the destruction of the Second Temple. He presents a nuanced perspective, blending personal experiences with the broader historical context of the war. The Jewish War offers a first-hand account of the siege of Jerusalem and the horrors that accompanied it, providing an invaluable perspective on the impact of the war on both the Jewish population and Roman imperial policy. Antiquities of the Jews, c. 93 to 94 CE. This monumental work covers the history of the Jewish people from their biblical origins to the outbreak of the Jewish-Roman War. Spanning 20 volumes, it provides a comprehensive account of Jewish history, culture, and religion, blending sacred history with more secular events. Antiquities is considered one of Josephus' greatest achievements, as it gives a detailed account of the Jewish people's history in relation to surrounding civilizations, such as Egypt, Greece, and Rome. It serves as an essential reference for understanding the intertestamental period and offers a context for the rise of Christianity, as it provides insights into the political and social environment during the time of Jesus and the apostles. Other works. In addition to these two primary works, Josephus also wrote against Apion, a defense of Judaism against its detractors, and The Life of Josephus, an autobiography that offers a glimpse into his personal life and his justification for his role in the Jewish revolt and his subsequent cooperation with Rome. Importance of Josephus in historical scholarship. Josephus' writings hold immense significance in the fields of history, theology, and archaeology. As one of the only surviving Jewish historians from the first century, his works are often the primary source of information for scholars studying this period. His unique position as both a Jewish man and a Roman citizen gives him a rare perspective, which allows us to see both the internal Jewish struggles and the external pressures from the Roman Empire. Historical accuracy and the Jewish-Roman conflict. Josephus is often regarded as a reliable source for understanding the events surrounding the Jewish-Roman War, particularly because he was an eyewitness to many of the events he describes. His detailed accounts of the war provide an unparalleled look into the military strategies, politics, and the social impact of the conflict on both the Jewish people and the Romans. His descriptions of the siege of Jerusalem are among the most vivid and comprehensive historical records of the destruction of the Second Temple. Understanding early Judaism and early Christianity. Beyond his accounts of the war, Josephus is a key source for understanding the religious and cultural context of the Jewish people in the Second Temple period. His Antiquities of the Jews provides critical information about Jewish customs, traditions, and religious practices, which helps modern scholars understand the world in which Jesus and the early Christians lived. Josephus is often cited in discussions of early Christianity because he mentions key figures like John the Baptist and Jesus, though these references remain a subject of debate among scholars. Influence on later historians and theologians. Josephus' influence extends far beyond his own time. His works have been studied and referenced by countless historians, theologians, and even politicians throughout the centuries. In the early Christian era, his writings were often used to demonstrate the historical credibility of Christianity, as he provides independent verification of some biblical events and figures. His works were widely read in the medieval period and continue to be an essential source for anyone interested in the ancient world. In conclusion, the importance of Josephus in historical scholarship cannot be overstated. His works offer a glimpse into a world that has shaped much of Western civilization, from the rise of Judaism and Christianity to the complex dynamics between the Jewish people and the Roman Empire. Through his writings, Josephus has ensured that the lessons of his time continue to resonate with us today, making him one of the most influential historians in history. Chapter 2: The Life of Josephus. Early life and background. Flavius Josephus was born around 37 AD in Jerusalem, into a prestigious Jewish family. His full name, Yosef ben Matityahu, reflected his Jewish heritage, as well as his lineage from the priestly class. His family was both wealthy and influential, and Josephus was exposed to the religious, political, and social intricacies of Jewish life from an early age. He was educated in the Jewish traditions, receiving extensive training in the law and the scriptures, which would deeply influence his later works. His early years were spent in Jerusalem, a city marked by religious fervor, political instability, and increasing tensions between Jewish factions and Roman authorities. In his early adulthood, Josephus sought to broaden his horizons beyond the confines of his Jewish upbringing. At the age of 26, he traveled to Rome in search of greater knowledge and personal experience. During his time in Rome, he mingled with intellectuals, philosophers, and influential figures, including the Roman Emperor Nero's court. These interactions provided him with a keen understanding of Roman culture, politics, and military practices, insights that would later prove invaluable when documenting the tumultuous relationship between the Jewish people and their Roman overlords. Josephus was a deeply devout man, but he was also pragmatic and strategic, and his background would serve as the foundation for his future involvement in one of the most defining events in Jewish history, the Jewish Revolt. Military career and the Jewish Revolt. The pivotal moment in Josephus' life came when he took on a leadership role during the Jewish revolt against Rome, which began in 66 AD. By then, the relationship between the Jewish people and their Roman rulers had become increasingly strained. Political and religious tensions had been brewing for years, and the Roman oppression of the Jewish population had reached a boiling point. Josephus, who had risen through the ranks of Jewish leadership, was appointed the governor of Galilee at the onset of the revolt. His military career during this time was marked by both success and failure. He organized and led defenses against the advancing Roman forces, exhibiting strategic and tactical skill. Yet, despite his efforts, the Jewish forces were no match for the might of the Roman Empire. In the city of Jotapata, Josephus famously defended the town for 47 days against the Romans, but after the city fell, he was captured by Roman forces. What followed was one of the most controversial decisions in his life. Josephus, rather than facing execution, chose to surrender to the Romans, an act that would haunt him in the eyes of many of his countrymen. Exile and relations with Rome. Following his surrender, Josephus was taken to Rome as a prisoner of war, where he became a client of the Roman Emperor Vespasian. It was during this period that Josephus underwent a profound transformation, from a leader of the Jewish revolt to a historian and advocate for Roman rule. His decision to align himself with the Romans was seen as a betrayal by many of his fellow Jews, and his later writings reflect the complex, often strained nature of his relationship with his homeland. In Rome, Josephus was granted a villa and given a Roman name, Flavius, in honor of the Flavian dynasty that had taken him in. He was also given the patronage of the imperial court, which enabled him to pursue his writing. During this time, he composed his two most famous works, The Jewish War, which chronicled the Jewish revolt, and Antiquities of the Jews, which traced the history of the Jewish people from the creation of the world up to the outbreak of the revolt. Josephus' relationship with Rome was a careful balancing act. He had, in many ways, accepted Roman domination over his people, but his writings also emphasized the dignity and importance of Jewish culture and history. He presented himself as a bridge between the Jewish world and the Roman Empire, hoping to preserve Jewish heritage while advocating for understanding between the two peoples. His exile was not without its personal turmoil. On one hand, he was a prisoner of war, but on the other hand, he was afforded opportunities and honors that few could have imagined. This dichotomy, being both a captive of Rome and a beneficiary of Roman favor, shaped much of his identity and work. It allowed Josephus to write from a unique perspective, one that saw the world through both Jewish and Roman lenses, and in doing so, he sought to preserve the memory of his people and their struggles against oppression. Josephus' life was one of constant flux, from his privileged beginnings to his role as a military leader, his capture and subsequent Roman patronage, and finally, his position as a historian and commentator on the Jewish experience. His personal experiences, from the battlefields of Galilee to the Roman courts, formed the backdrop for his historical writings and left a lasting legacy in both Jewish and Roman historical traditions. Through his works, Josephus was able to transcend his personal contradictions, offering the world a narrative that would shape the understanding of the ancient world for centuries to come. Chapter 3: Key Works of Josephus. Flavius Josephus is renowned for his remarkable contributions to historical literature, and his three major works, The Antiquities of the Jews, The Jewish War, and Against Apian, remain pivotal sources for understanding Jewish history, the Jewish-Roman conflict, and the origins of early Christianity. These works are not only significant as historical documents but also as complex reflections of Josephus' perspective on his people, his faith, and his interactions with the Roman Empire. This chapter aims to explore the importance, themes, and lasting impact of these key writings. The Antiquities of the Jews. Written around 93 to 94 AD, The Antiquities of the Jews is a comprehensive account of the history of the Jewish people from their creation to the Jewish revolt against Rome in the 1st century AD. This work consists of 20 books and covers an expansive period, beginning with the biblical account of creation and extending all the way to the Jewish war, culminating in the destruction of the Second Temple in 70 AD. In many ways, The Antiquities serves as a bridge between the Old Testament narrative and the historical context of Josephus' time. The work offers a detailed and somewhat embellished retelling of key figures and events in Jewish history, including the lives of Abraham, Moses, David, Solomon, and the Maccabees. Josephus uses the Bible as his primary source but supplements it with his own historical perspective, integrating Jewish traditions with Roman and Greek history to create a broader context for his audience. The Antiquities is not just a history of the Jewish people, it is also a work of apologetics. By demonstrating the antiquity and nobility of the Jewish faith, Josephus seeks to present Judaism as a respectable religion in the eyes of the Roman and Greek worlds. For Christian readers, the Antiquities is particularly valuable for its references to Jesus Christ. In Book 18, Josephus includes a brief passage known as the Testimonium Flavianum, which mentions Jesus as a wise man who was crucified under Pontius Pilate. Although the authenticity of this passage has been debated, it remains a critical early non-Christian reference to Jesus, making the Antiquities an essential source for understanding the historical Jesus. The Jewish War. Josephus wrote the Jewish War between 75 and 79 AD, and it stands as his most famous and dramatic work. This account chronicles the Jewish revolt against Rome, 66 to 73 AD, which ended in the catastrophic destruction of Jerusalem and the Second Temple in 70 AD. Written from the vantage point of a survivor and former participant, the Jewish War offers a unique and highly personal perspective on one of the most significant events in Jewish history. The work is divided into 7 books, and Josephus recounts the events leading up to the war, the course of the conflict, and the ultimate defeat of the Jewish rebels. He provides detailed descriptions of the major battles, the political tensions among Jewish factions, and the role of Roman leaders like General Titus, who would later become emperor. Josephus himself played a role in the conflict, initially leading a Jewish resistance group in Galilee before surrendering to the Romans. His decision to align himself with Rome after his capture is often seen as a point of contention, especially because it colors his interpretation of the Jewish rebellion. His portrayal of the events, which sometimes appears to be sympathetic to the Romans, has led some critics to accuse him of betraying his people. Nonetheless, the Jewish War remains a crucial source for understanding the causes and consequences of the revolt. It offers a vivid picture of the political, social, and religious dynamics within Judea before and during the war. Josephus also provides insightful commentary on the psychological and cultural tensions between the Jews and the Romans, as well as the internal divisions among the Jewish factions that weakened their resistance. In a broader context, the Jewish War is one of the most valuable ancient accounts of a military conflict, showcasing Josephus' keen observations of human nature, leadership, and the tragic outcomes of war. The work also serves as a profound reflection on the suffering of the Jewish people, the fall of Jerusalem, and the loss of their sacred temple. Against Apion. Against Apion, written around 100 AD, is Josephus' defense of Judaism against the criticisms and misrepresentations of Greek and Roman writers. Apion was a Hellenistic Egyptian grammarian who had written a vitriolic attack on the Jews, accusing them of various atrocities and condemning their religious practices. Josephus, in response, seeks to refute Apion's charges and, in doing so, defends the integrity and antiquity of Jewish culture and religion. This work is not as widely known as the Jewish War or the Antiquities of the Jews, but it plays a crucial role in Josephus' broader agenda of presenting Judaism in a favorable light to the Roman world. In Against Apion, Josephus argues for the superiority of Jewish customs and beliefs, pointing out the long-standing tradition of the Jewish people and their contributions to civilization. He defends the idea that Judaism is not only an ancient religion but also one that deserves respect from the other cultures of the world, particularly the Greeks and Romans. His argument is, in essence, an attempt to validate Jewish identity and culture in the face of foreign criticism. Josephus also uses Against Apion as an opportunity to reflect on the nature of historical writing, the role of the historian, and the ethical responsibilities of those who document the past. In this work, he defends his own historical methodology and criticizes the selective and often biased accounts of other historians, emphasizing the importance of truth and fairness in historical narration. The enduring legacy of Josephus' key works. Josephus' 3 major works, the Antiquities of the Jews, the Jewish War, and Against Apion, not only provide valuable insights into the ancient world but also offer a window into the mind of a man who lived through one of the most tumultuous periods in Jewish history. His writings continue to serve as essential resources for scholars, theologians, and students of history, offering a nuanced and multifaceted view of the intersection between Jewish, Roman, and early Christian worlds. Through his works, Josephus remains an enduring figure in the historiography of the ancient world, His legacy, while controversial, is undeniable. In the Antiquities of the Jews, the Jewish War, and Against Apian, Josephus offered a complex and sometimes contradictory portrayal of his people, their history, and their faith. Yet, these works provide an invaluable record of the ancient world that continues to shape our understanding of history, religion, and culture today. Chapter 4: Josephus and Jewish Identity. Flavius Josephus stands as one of the most important figures in understanding Jewish identity during the late Second Temple period. His writings offer valuable insights not only into the historical events of his time but also into the cultural and religious fabric of Judaism. As a historian, Josephus captures the essence of Jewish identity, balancing his role as a Jewish leader with his experience as a Roman citizen. This chapter explores his views on Jewish culture, the centrality of the temple in Jewish life, and how Josephus served as a bridge between cultures, linking the Jewish world with the Greco-Roman world in ways that have influenced history for centuries. Josephus' view on Jewish culture. Josephus, writing from the perspective of both a Jew and a Roman, provides a unique lens through which we can examine Jewish culture during the first century. His writings reflect the complexity of Jewish life under Roman rule, and they demonstrate how the Jewish people maintained a distinct cultural and religious identity in the face of external pressures. Josephus was deeply invested in preserving the values and traditions of his people, and this is most evident in his work Antiquities of the Jews, where he chronicles the history of the Jewish people from creation through to the First Jewish-Roman War. For Josephus, Jewish culture was centered around the law, Torah, which governed every aspect of life. His portrayal of Jewish customs, festivals, and practices reveals a people committed to upholding their heritage in the midst of foreign domination. However, Josephus was also aware of the complexities and divisions within Jewish society. He addressed internal conflicts, particularly the differences between various Jewish sects, Pharisees, Sadducees, and Essenes, and the tensions that arose between their interpretations of Jewish law. Josephus saw the Jewish culture as one rooted in both tradition and resilience. He wrote not only to preserve Jewish history but to justify Jewish customs to a Roman audience that often misunderstood or even despised them. His view of Jewish culture, then, was not merely a reflection of religious practice but an assertion of Jewish resilience and the right to maintain their way of life despite external pressures. The role of the temple in Jewish life. The temple in Jerusalem was the heart of Jewish religious life, serving as the place of worship, sacrifice, and connection to God. Josephus, who was born into a priestly family, had a deep personal connection to the temple and its rituals. His writings give us a vivid picture of how central the temple was to Jewish identity in the first century. In the Jewish War, Josephus emphasizes the significance of the temple as not only a religious center but also a political and cultural symbol. The destruction of the temple in 70 AD by the Romans marked a cataclysmic turning point in Jewish history, and Josephus recorded this event with profound sadness and reflection. For Josephus, the temple was the embodiment of Jewish unity and spiritual life. Its destruction was not only a physical loss but a spiritual crisis for the Jewish people. Josephus' detailed accounts of the temple's grandeur and its rituals illustrate the pivotal role it played in uniting Jews from all over the world in their religious practices. For Jews in Jerusalem, the temple was the ultimate representation of their faith. For those in the diaspora, it remained the focal point of longing and devotion. Josephus understood the temple as the living symbol of Jewish identity, and its loss underscored the fragility of that identity in a world increasingly dominated by foreign powers. Josephus as a bridge between cultures. Perhaps one of Josephus' most significant contributions to history was his ability to bridge the cultural divide between Jews and Romans. As someone who experienced the Jewish-Roman conflict firsthand and later became a Roman citizen, Josephus found himself in a unique position, caught between two worlds. His works are marked by an effort to present Jewish history and culture to a Roman audience, often with the goal of fostering understanding and mitigating Roman hostility towards the Jews. In his writings, Josephus often emphasizes the intellectual and moral virtues of the Jewish people, contrasting them with the often decadent and corrupt practices he saw in Roman society. At the same time, he did not shy away from acknowledging the strengths of Roman civilization. By presenting the Jewish people as honorable and wise, he hoped to foster respect for Jewish culture among the Romans, which would have practical implications for Jews living under Roman rule. Josephus' role as a cultural mediator is particularly evident in his work against Appian, where he defends Judaism against Roman critics and anti-Semitic sentiments. He works tirelessly to demonstrate that Jewish traditions are not only ancient and respectable but also philosophically sound, countering misconceptions about Jewish practices. Through his writings, Josephus sought to elevate Jewish culture in the eyes of the Roman Empire, positioning it as a sophisticated and honorable tradition worth preserving. In this sense, Josephus served as both a defender of Jewish identity and a mediator between two cultures. His ability to translate Jewish practices and beliefs into terms understandable and acceptable to a Roman audience made him a crucial figure in the preservation of Jewish heritage and the transmission of Jewish history to future generations. Conclusion. Josephus' contributions to understanding Jewish identity are invaluable. Through his works, we gain insight not only into the events of his time but also into the cultural and religious essence of Judaism. His reflections on Jewish culture, the centrality of the temple, and his role as a bridge between Jewish and Roman worlds offer a complex, layered understanding of the Jewish experience during a pivotal moment in history. Josephus, ever the historian and mediator, provided a bridge between two cultures, ensuring that the story of the Jewish people would not be lost to time but preserved for future generations. Chapter 5. The Influence of Josephus on Early Christianity. Flavius Josephus, though a Jewish historian, played a significant role in shaping the early Christian narrative, not only through his detailed historical accounts but also through the way his works were referenced and interpreted by early Christian writers and scholars. His influence on Christian historiography cannot be overstated, as his writings became essential in constructing a bridge between Jewish history and Christian thought. In this chapter, we will explore the profound impact Josephus had on the formation of early Christian understanding and doctrine, as well as his pivotal role in interpreting the New Testament and the rise of Christianity. Josephus' impact on Christian historiography. Josephus' works were among the most important historical texts available to early Christian writers. In the absence of many Jewish records and detailed histories from this time, his accounts served as primary sources for Christians seeking to understand the historical context of their faith. His meticulous chronicling of the Jewish revolt against Rome, as well as his detailed descriptions of Jewish customs, governance, and religious practices, provided a backdrop against which early Christian history could be understood and contextualized. Christian historians and theologians in the first few centuries AD, especially in the wake of the destruction of the Second Temple in 70 AD, turned to Josephus for insight into the Jewish world in which Jesus and the apostles lived. His writings were instrumental in establishing the historical setting of Christianity's emergence, providing Christians with an authoritative account of the events surrounding the destruction of Jerusalem, the politics of the Roman Empire, and the tensions between various Jewish factions. In this way, Josephus helped lay the foundation for early Christian historiography by offering a detailed and often sympathetic portrayal of Jewish history, which was central to understanding Christian origins. Furthermore, his works contributed significantly to the development of apologetic literature in early Christianity. Early Christian apologists, such as Origen and Eusebius, found in Josephus a valuable resource for defending Christianity against critiques from both Jews and Romans. Josephus' accounts, especially his references to the destruction of the Jewish temple, provided context for understanding the fulfillment of Old Testament prophecies and thus affirmed the legitimacy of Christian belief and the significance of Jesus' life and death. References to Josephus in early Christian texts. Josephus' influence on early Christian texts is especially evident in the references made to him by several Christian writers and theologians. The most famous of these references is found in Antiquities of the Jews 18:3, in which Josephus includes a brief passage about Jesus Christ. This passage, known as the Testimonium Flavianum, is one of the earliest extra-biblical references to Jesus and has been a point of considerable debate among scholars. Some argue that later Christian scribes may have altered the text, while others believe it is largely authentic. albeit with possible minor embellishments. Regardless of the exact details, the mere inclusion of Jesus in a Roman Jewish history by Josephus lends credibility to the historical existence of Jesus outside of Christian texts. Beyond the Testimonium Flavianum, early Christian writers also referred to Josephus as a reliable source for understanding the Jewish customs and practices that Jesus and the apostles would have been familiar with. For instance, the early Christian historian Eusebius of Caesarea often cited Josephus to provide historical context to his theological arguments, especially when discussing the relationship between Judaism and Christianity. Josephus the Jewish War also offered early Christian writers valuable insights into the nature of the Jewish revolt and the political climate of the time. His description of the various Jewish factions, the siege of Jerusalem, and the interactions with Roman authorities were crucial for Christians attempting to explain the origins of the conflict that would lead to the destruction of the temple. Early Christian thinkers used these accounts to frame the story of Jesus' life and death as part of the broader narrative of Jewish history under Roman oppression. In addition, references to Josephus can be found in the writings of the Church Fathers, including Justin Martyr, Irenaeus, and Tertullian, who acknowledge his importance as a historian of Jewish origins and as a source for understanding the history of Israel in the context of Christian salvation. They often used Josephus to counter Jewish objections to the Christian faith and to demonstrate the consistency of the Christian story with Jewish history. The role of Josephus in understanding the New Testament. Josephus' writings are invaluable for understanding the social, political, and religious context of the New Testament. His descriptions of the Jewish religious system, including the roles of the Pharisees, Sadducees, and Essenes, provide a direct link to understanding the factions that played such a significant part in the New Testament narrative. Jesus' interactions with these groups, his condemnation of the Pharisees, and his teaching on the kingdom of God take on additional meaning when viewed through the lens of Josephus' accounts. For example, Josephus' portrayal of the Pharisees as a sect concerned with ritual purity and legalism helps to explain the criticisms Jesus directed at them throughout the Gospels. Similarly, Josephus' descriptions of the Sadducees and their role in the temple politics offer a deeper understanding of the theological and political tensions that surrounded the ministry of Jesus. Josephus' works provide a backdrop against which the actions and teachings of the New Testament figures can be better understood. In addition, Josephus' historical narrative sheds light on the broader political and cultural environment in which the New Testament story unfolds. His account of Roman rule over Judea and the political maneuvering of figures like Herod the Great, Pontius Pilate, and the Roman procurators helps to place the crucifixion of Jesus within a larger historical framework. Josephus also provides insight into the Zealot movement, which is referenced in the New Testament in relation to figures like Barabbas and the Apostles. Josephus' works also help scholars and theologians understand the early Christian movement in relation to its Jewish roots. His writings offer crucial insights into the religious landscape of first-century Judaism, which allowed early Christians to define themselves both in continuity with and in contrast to the Jewish traditions of the time. For instance, Josephus' accounts of the Jewish temple and its destruction were often interpreted by early Christians as fulfilling Jesus' prophecies, particularly in the Gospels, about the impending fall of Jerusalem and the end of the Old Covenant. In summary, Josephus' influence on early Christianity was both profound and far-reaching. His historical writings provided Christians with a valuable historical context for understanding the life and ministry of Jesus, the development of Christian doctrine, and the struggles of the early church. Whether through direct references to Jesus in his works or through his detailed accounts of the Jewish world, Josephus helped to shape the way Christianity would be understood and interpreted in the centuries to come. His contributions continue to influence Christian scholarship today, making him an indispensable figure in the history of early Christianity. Chapter 6: Josephus in Modern Scholarship. Flavius Josephus, a historian of the 1st century, has long been recognized as one of the most influential figures in the study of antiquity. However, his influence has not been constant throughout history. It is only in more recent centuries that scholars have truly rediscovered his works and come to appreciate the vast scope of his contributions to our understanding of the ancient world. In this chapter, we will explore how Josephus was rediscovered during the Renaissance, his place in contemporary historical studies, and the continuing relevance of his work today. The rediscovery of Josephus in the Renaissance. Josephus' writings remained largely dormant in the centuries following his death. The knowledge of his works was fragmented, and his influence waned with the rise of new scholars and competing historical narratives. It wasn't until the Renaissance, a period of intellectual revival in Europe, that Josephus began to re-emerge as an important figure in the study of ancient history. During the Renaissance, there was a renewed interest in classical texts and a burgeoning desire to reconnect with the ancient world. Scholars began to seek out and translate key works from antiquity, and Josephus' The Jewish War and Antiquities of the Jews were among those that sparked newfound attention. The Renaissance thinkers were captivated by his detailed accounts of Jewish history, the fall of Jerusalem, and the complex relationship between Jews and Romans. These narratives, which had been largely overshadowed by the writings of other ancient historians, provided valuable insights into a pivotal time in history, especially regarding the origins of Christianity and the dynamics of the Roman Empire. Josephus' work became indispensable to Renaissance scholars interested in understanding the biblical and historical context of the New Testament. His perspectives on Jewish life, the destruction of the Second Temple, and the conflicts with the Romans enriched theological debates and served as critical sources for understanding the early Christian church. Josephus in contemporary historical studies. In the modern era, Josephus has become an essential figure in both historical and religious scholarship. His works are considered a primary source for understanding the cultural, religious, and political landscape of the ancient Mediterranean world. His detailed chronicles of the Jewish revolt, the Roman conquest of Jerusalem, and the lives of key Jewish leaders during the time of Christ offer an invaluable first-hand account of the era. Historians today rely on Josephus for a multitude of purposes. His writings provide insights into the internal dynamics of Jewish society, the complexities of Roman governance, and the intersection of various religious ideologies. His perspective on the events of his time is particularly significant, given that he was not only a participant in some of these events but also a chronicler of his own people, making him a unique figure in ancient history. Scholars often juxtapose Josephus' accounts with other historical records, such as those from the Roman historian Tacitus or the Christian scriptures, to gain a fuller understanding of the past. One of the central themes in contemporary historical studies is the relationship between Jewish and Roman cultures, and Josephus' works remain a foundational text in exploring this dynamic. His portrayal of the Jewish revolt against Rome and the subsequent destruction of the Second Temple is a pivotal moment in both Jewish and world history, and scholars continue to study Josephus to gain insights into the motivations behind the rebellion and the impact of its failure. In contemporary theological studies, Josephus' works are crucial in examining the origins of Christianity. While he himself was not a Christian, his writings often intersect with the early history of the Church, particularly in his references to figures such as John the Baptist and Jesus. Though the authenticity of some passages is debated, scholars use his accounts to understand the historical backdrop against which Christianity emerged and to explore the relationship between the early Church and Judaism. The relevance of Josephus today. Josephus' influence is not confined to ancient or historical studies alone. His works continue to be relevant in a variety of disciplines today, including theology, philosophy, and even political theory. The questions he raised about power, identity, and the survival of cultures continue to resonate in contemporary discussions about faith, history, and society. One of the reasons for the enduring relevance of Josephus is the way in which his writings address universal themes. His accounts of the destruction of the Temple in Jerusalem and the subsequent disintegration of Jewish society under Roman rule raise questions about the survival of culture, identity, and faith under oppressive circumstances. These themes have remained pertinent throughout history, from the Middle Ages to modern times, as various cultures and religious groups have faced the threat of persecution and extinction. Josephus also provides valuable insights into the complexities of human behavior in times of crisis. His portrayal of the different factions within Jewish society during the rebellion against Rome, the internal divisions that weakened their resistance, and the ethical dilemmas faced by leaders and common people alike offer profound reflections on leadership, loyalty, and the consequences of choices made in times of turmoil. In addition, Josephus' perspective on the Roman Empire and its policies of imperialism and conquest remains relevant in modern discussions about empire, governance, and the balance of power. His accounts provide a window into the mechanisms of Roman imperialism, which can help scholars understand contemporary political structures and international relations. Finally, Josephus' works continue to offer a valuable resource for those studying the intersection of faith and history. His writings provide a critical window into the early development of Christianity, offering insights into how the early church interacted with the Jewish world and the Roman Empire. His writings help contextualize biblical texts, giving modern readers a deeper understanding of the world in which early Christianity was born. In summary, the rediscovery of Josephus in the Renaissance marked the beginning of a long-standing appreciation for his historical and theological contributions. Today, his works remain a vital source for scholars of history, theology, and philosophy, and they continue to inform our understanding of the ancient world and its relevance to modern times. The lasting influence of Josephus can be seen in the way his writings continue to shape our perception of history, faith, and the complexities of the human experience. Chapter 7: The Enduring Legacy of Josephus. Flavius Josephus, with his multifaceted life and influential writings, has left a profound legacy that continues to resonate through literature, art, and popular culture. His detailed accounts of Jewish history, the Jewish-Roman wars, and early Christianity have not only preserved the past but have inspired generations of thinkers, writers, artists, and even filmmakers. This chapter will explore how Josephus' works have transcended time, impacting various domains and continuing to shape our understanding of history and faith. Josephus in literature and art. Josephus' writings, particularly the Jewish War and Antiquities of the Jews, have long been a wellspring of inspiration for writers, poets, and playwrights. His portrayal of the Jewish revolt against Rome and the destruction of the Temple in Jerusalem has inspired countless literary works, both ancient and modern. Writers such as William Shakespeare, in his historical plays, and historians like Edward Gibbon, in his The History of the Decline and Fall of the Roman Empire, have drawn upon Josephus' descriptions to provide depth and context to their own narratives. Josephus' tragic accounts of the Jewish people during the Roman conquest of Jerusalem have been depicted in many forms of art, from Renaissance paintings to contemporary sculptures. His vivid descriptions of historical figures like Herod the Great and the Jewish rebels during the siege of Jerusalem have provided artists with rich material for dramatic visual representations. These works often evoke the intense emotional resonance of the time, particularly the destruction of the Second Temple, a pivotal moment in Jewish history that Josephus documented with unparalleled detail. In the realm of modern literature, Josephus' work has inspired novelists and playwrights who seek to tell stories of historical conflict, the clash of civilizations, and the human cost of war. Josephus' narrative of the fall of Jerusalem and the fate of its people remains a powerful metaphor for the destruction of cultural identity and the survival of faith in the face of adversity. Josephus and popular culture. The influence of Josephus extends far beyond academia and art into the realm of popular culture. His accounts have been referenced and adapted in films, documentaries, and even video games that seek to capture the tumultuous period of Jewish-Roman conflict. Movies and television shows that depict the Roman Empire, such as Gladiator or Rome, often reflect the same historical themes found in Josephus' writings, even if his name is never explicitly mentioned. Josephus' role in documenting the origins of Christianity also finds resonance in religious-themed media. The portrayal of the early church, the life of Jesus, and the apostles in films such as The Passion of the Christ and Ben-Hur draws from the historical context that Josephus provided. His writings serve as a historical backdrop that enriches these modern depictions of faith and conflict, offering viewers a glimpse into the complexities of the times. In popular literature, Josephus' accounts have inspired a range of fiction, including historical thrillers and alternative history novels. His portrayal of the Jewish-Roman War has been a source for stories that imagine what could have been, with characters navigating through the collapse of the Jewish state and the consequences of Roman imperialism. Additionally, his chronicles have inspired graphic novels and comic books that reimagine historical figures and events through Josephus' lens, highlighting the dramatic, larger-than-life elements of ancient history. The future of Josephus studies. As we move further into the 21st century, the study of Josephus continues to evolve. While his works remain indispensable for understanding the ancient world, they are also being examined in new ways, integrating interdisciplinary approaches that connect history, theology, archaeology, and philosophy. Josephus scholars are increasingly focused on reinterpreting his motivations, his biases, and his complex identity as a historian, trader, and advocate for the Roman Empire. One key area of future exploration in Josephus' studies is the use of modern technology to analyze his texts. Scholars are utilizing digital tools, such as textual analysis software and online databases, to map out the connections between his accounts and other ancient sources. This has the potential to uncover new insights into the accuracy of his writings, as well as his interactions with Roman authorities and Jewish communities. The digital age also facilitates greater access to his works, allowing for wider dissemination of Josephus' ideas and more collaborative research across academic fields. Another developing trend in Josephus scholarship is the growing interest in his influence on the formation of early Christianity. While Josephus was not a Christian, his descriptions of the time period, including references to Jesus and the early followers of Christ, are invaluable for understanding the historical context of the New Testament. As scholars continue to explore the relationship between Jewish and Christian histories, Josephus' role as a bridge between these two worlds will only increase in significance. Furthermore, the continued interest in the Jewish-Roman conflict offers an avenue for studying Josephus' portrayal of Jewish identity, resistance, and survival under Roman occupation. His writings provide a lens through which to explore themes of national destruction and resilience, topics that remain highly relevant in today's globalized world where issues of identity, faith, and cultural preservation are still at the forefront of contemporary debates. The future of Josephus studies promises to be one of vibrant interdisciplinary engagement, with scholars and enthusiasts alike revisiting his works to uncover deeper meanings and connections to our present-day concerns. Whether through reappraising his role in early Jewish-Christian relations, examining the historical accuracy of his accounts, or drawing upon his portrayal of human nature in times of great struggle, Josephus' legacy will continue to inspire and challenge us to reflect on the past and its enduring impact on the future. Josephus' lasting influence, felt in literature, art, popular culture, and academia, testifies to the timeless nature of his work. The continued study of his life and writings ensures that his contributions to history, faith, and culture will never fade into obscurity but will remain a key part of our collective exploration of the ancient world. Chapter 8, Conclusion. Summary of key themes. As we conclude our reflection on the life and work of Flavius Josephus, it is essential to summarize the key themes that have shaped his legacy. Josephus' writings are a treasure trove of historical, cultural, and theological insights, and several recurring themes have emerged throughout this journey. The destruction of Jerusalem and the fall of the Jewish state. Perhaps Josephus' most prominent contribution is his detailed account of the Jewish war and the siege of Jerusalem, culminating in the catastrophic destruction of the city and the Jewish temple in 70 AD. His eyewitness testimony offers unparalleled insights into the political, military, and social dynamics of the time, as well as the tragic consequences of the Jewish revolt against Roman rule. Jewish identity and religion under Roman rule. Josephus' exploration of Jewish identity under the dominance of the Roman Empire is another pivotal theme. His writings shed light on the internal struggles within Judaism, from the different sects, Pharisees, Sadducees, Essenes, to the tension between religious tradition and Roman imperial power. These accounts highlight the complex relationship between the Jewish people and the external pressures they faced. The rise of Christianity. Though Josephus was a devout Jew and not a Christian, his writings provide indirect but invaluable context for the development of early Christianity. His references to figures like John the Baptist and Jesus offer early external attestations that help to confirm some of the events recorded in the New Testament. His reflections on Jewish customs and society also provide essential background for understanding the environment in which Christianity arose. The struggles of a historian and politician, Josephus' personal journey, from a Jewish commander to a Roman historian, illustrates the complex intersection of identity, politics, and personal ambition. His account of his own life reflects a man who straddled two worlds, his Jewish heritage and his allegiance to Rome. The choices he made, particularly his decision to surrender to the Romans, have sparked much debate but also offer important lessons on survival, compromise, and the complexities of loyalty. Lasting lessons from Josephus. Josephus' writings continue to provide valuable lessons, not just for historians, but for anyone seeking to understand the complexities of human nature, faith, and the often tumultuous relationship between power and identity. Here are some of the key lessons we can draw from his life and work. The importance of preserving history. Josephus understood the importance of recording history, not only as a way to preserve the past but as a tool to influence the present. His detailed accounts of Jewish history, from the Maccabean revolt to the destruction of Jerusalem, remind us of the value of preserving our own histories. In an era where information is so easily lost, Josephus teaches us the significance of chronicling events, even when doing so might put us in difficult positions. The cost of compromise. Josephus' decision to surrender to the Romans, and his subsequent role as a Roman historian, teaches us that the path of compromise can be fraught with both personal and ethical challenges. His life is a poignant reminder that sometimes survival demands difficult decisions, but these decisions are not without long-lasting consequences. His story encourages us to consider the weight of our choices and the impact they may have on our legacy. Cultural and religious conflict. The struggles between Jewish identity and Roman imperialism mirror many of the cultural and religious conflicts we see in the world today. Josephus' accounts challenge us to reflect on how societies navigate the tension between preserving tradition and adapting to changing political realities. His observations urge us to consider how we, as individuals and communities, respond to cultural shifts and power dynamics that challenge our beliefs and values. The complexity of faith and politics. Josephus' dual role as a religious Jew and Roman collaborator offers an enduring lesson in the intersection of faith and politics. His life was a constant balancing act between these two realms, and his writings force us to grapple with questions about the role of faith in public life. How do we maintain our religious integrity in a world that often demands political compromise? Josephus' reflections on this tension continue to resonate today as we navigate similar challenges. Final thoughts on his enduring influence. The influence of Flavius Josephus extends far beyond his own time. His works remain foundational texts for understanding the ancient world, the Jewish-Roman conflict, and the rise of early Christianity. Yet, his influence is not confined to academic circles. Josephus' writings also offer timeless wisdom for anyone seeking to understand the complexities of human history, faith, and identity. His portrayal of the fall of Jerusalem serves as a tragic reminder of the consequences of division and conflict. It is a sobering reflection on the dangers of internal strife, whether in a religious community, a nation, or within the human soul. The lessons Josephus imparts are as relevant today as they were in the first century: the importance of preserving our values, the challenge of navigating power structures, and the eternal tension between survival and integrity. Moreover, Josephus' works continue to be a bridge between cultures and religions. His writings provide insight not only into the Jewish experience but also into the broader context of the Roman Empire, early Christianity, and the ancient world. His legacy, therefore, is not only historical but also spiritual, encouraging us to engage with the complexities of our world with a deeper understanding of the past. As we reflect on Josephus' enduring influence, let us recognize the relevance of his writings in shaping our views on history, faith, and humanity. His life and works offer us a mirror through which we can examine our own choices, our own identities, and our place in the ever-evolving story of the human race. Chapter 1: Introduction to Josephus. Josephus stands as a crucial figure in understanding not only the Jewish history of the first century but also the complex relationship between Jews and the Roman Empire. His works continue to influence scholars today, offering essential insights into the ancient world. Chapter 2: The Life of Josephus. Josephus' life was one of remarkable contradictions. From his role as a Jewish military leader to his eventual alliance with Rome, his personal journey was inextricably tied to the turbulent history of his time. Chapter 3: Key Works of Josephus. Josephus' writings, especially the Jewish War and Antiquities of the Jews, are not mere historical records, they are narratives shaped by a man deeply invested in understanding the past and its implications for the future. Chapter 4: Josephus and Jewish Identity. Josephus acted as a cultural bridge, attempting to reconcile his Jewish heritage with the dominant Roman culture. His works explore the delicate balance between tradition and assimilation, a struggle still felt today by many cultures worldwide. Chapter 5: The Influence of Josephus on Early Christianity. Although Josephus was not a Christian, his writings provided early Christians with invaluable context for understanding the world in which their faith emerged, highlighting the complexities of Jewish life and Roman rule. Chapter 6: Josephus in Modern Scholarship. The rediscovery of Josephus during the Renaissance opened new doors for historical scholarship. Today, his works continue to inspire scholars across disciplines, bridging the ancient and modern worlds in profound ways. Chapter 7: The Enduring Legacy of Josephus. Josephus' legacy transcends the written word, impacting literature, art, and popular culture. His story is not just a tale of a historian but of a man whose experiences have shaped the understanding of both his people and the world around him. Chapter 8: Conclusion. Josephus' writings endure because they illuminate the past in ways that resonate with the present. His life and works challenge us to consider the complexities of identity, faith, and survival in an ever-changing world. Questions and answers. Chapter 1: Introduction to Josephus. What was the historical context during the time of Josephus? Answer: Josephus lived during a time of great political and cultural turmoil, marked by the Jewish revolt against Roman rule. The destruction of the Second Temple in Jerusalem, 70 AD, and the eventual dispersion of the Jewish people were pivotal events in Jewish history. Rome's dominance in the Mediterranean world and the complexities of Jewish life under Roman rule were central to Josephus' works. Why is Josephus' work considered significant in historical scholarship? Answer: Josephus provides a detailed first-hand account of the Jewish-Roman War and the complex dynamics of Jewish society in the first century. His writings are crucial for understanding the history of the Jewish people, the early context of Christianity, and the broader Roman Empire. His unique position as a Jewish historian writing for a Roman audience gives his work an invaluable perspective. Chapter 2: The Life of Josephus. How did Josephus' early life influence his later works? Answer: Josephus was born into a wealthy Jewish family, which afforded him the opportunity for an education in both Jewish law and Greek philosophy. This dual education equipped him to understand and describe Jewish culture while also engaging with the broader Greco-Roman world. His early life in a prominent Jewish family likely shaped his deep understanding of Jewish traditions, which he later used to interpret and write about Jewish history. What were the key factors that led to Josephus' decision to surrender to the Romans? Answer: Josephus' decision to surrender was influenced by a combination of personal survival and a desire to maintain influence in Roman society. Faced with overwhelming Roman forces, Josephus may have seen surrender as the only means of survival, although his subsequent role as a historian for the Romans has been the subject of much debate regarding his integrity and loyalty to his people. Chapter 3: Key Works of Josephus. What are the primary themes in the Antiquities of the Jews? Answer: The Antiquities of the Jews traces the history of the Jewish people from creation to the outbreak of the Jewish War, emphasizing the importance of Jewish law, culture, and the interaction with foreign powers. It reflects Josephus' desire to explain Jewish history and customs to a Roman audience while defending Judaism against critics. What makes the Jewish War an invaluable source for historians? Answer: The Jewish War offers an eyewitness account of the Jewish revolt against Rome, particularly the siege of Jerusalem and the destruction of the temple. It is one of the most detailed sources of information about this period, providing insights into military strategy, political tensions, and the cultural and religious dynamics of first-century Judea. Chapter 4: Josephus and Jewish Identity. How does Josephus perceive Jewish identity in relation to Roman culture? Answer: Josephus often presents Jewish identity as being in conflict with Roman imperialism. However, he also emphasizes the adaptability of Jewish culture and religion in the face of foreign influence. His work suggests a tension between maintaining Jewish traditions and adapting to the Roman world, with Josephus himself acting as a mediator between the two. What role does the temple play in Josephus' view of Jewish identity? Answer: the temple was central to Josephus' conception of Jewish identity, symbolizing both the religious and political center of Jewish life. The destruction of the temple by the Romans was, for Josephus, not just a physical loss but a spiritual and cultural one, marking the end of an era in Jewish history. Chapter 5: The Influence of Josephus on Early Christianity. What was Josephus' impact on early Christian historiography? Answer: Josephus provided early Christian writers with a framework for understanding the Jewish background of Christianity. His accounts of Jewish customs, beliefs, and political dynamics offer essential context for the life of Jesus and the development of early Christian theology. His works allowed early Christians to better position themselves within the broader historical narrative of Jewish history. How do early Christian texts use Josephus as a source? Answer: early Christian writers, such as Eusebius, often cited Josephus to corroborate events in the life of Jesus and other biblical narratives. For instance, references to Jesus in Josephus' Antiquities are frequently cited to support the historical existence of Jesus, though the authenticity of these passages has been debated. Chapter 6: Josephus in Modern Scholarship. How did the rediscovery of Josephus in the Renaissance impact historical scholarship? Answer: the rediscovery of Josephus during the Renaissance brought renewed interest in classical sources and the study of ancient history. Scholars were able to revisit his works with a fresh perspective, applying critical methods that helped illuminate the historical accuracy and cultural significance of his writings. Why is Josephus still relevant in contemporary historical studies? Answer: Josephus' writings remain a critical source for understanding the ancient world, particularly the intersection of Jewish, Roman, and early Christian history. Modern historians continue to use his works to explore issues of identity, power, and religious conflict. His unique perspective as both a participant and observer of historical events ensures his relevance today. Chapter 7: The Enduring Legacy of Josephus. How has Josephus influenced literature and art throughout history? Answer: Josephus' dramatic accounts of the Jewish war and the fall of Jerusalem have inspired numerous literary works, from the epic poems of the Middle Ages to modern novels. His themes of heroism, tragedy, and survival resonate across cultures and continue to be explored in various artistic mediums. In what ways is Josephus represented in popular culture today? Answer: while Josephus himself may not be a household name, his historical narratives influence various aspects of popular culture, especially in films, documentaries, and books that depict the Roman-Jewish conflict. His works provide a backdrop for many modern discussions of faith, identity, and historical trauma. Chapter 8: Conclusion. What are the main lessons we can learn from Josephus' writings? Answer: Josephus teaches us the value of preserving history, even when the truth is inconvenient or painful. He shows us the importance of understanding cultural identity in the face of imperialism and the lasting impact of political and religious conflict. His works remind us that history is not just a series of events, but a reflection of the human experience. Why does Josephus' legacy continue to endure? Answer: Josephus' legacy endures because his works offer a unique window into a critical moment in history, and his insights into Jewish, Roman, and early Christian interactions remain invaluable. His role as both an insider and outsider, navigating multiple cultures, gives his writings timeless relevance for understanding the complexities of identity, power, and belief. Practical applications. Chapter 1: Introduction to Josephus. Practical application: understand the value of historical context. Recognizing the historical context in which Josephus lived and wrote helps us appreciate the complexity of the world he navigated. Whether studying ancient history, modern politics, or cultural movements, understanding the background and circumstances in which events unfold provides greater clarity and insight. Practical application: evaluate the importance of historical sources. Josephus' works are critical primary sources for understanding the ancient world. Similarly, in today's research or decision-making processes, it is essential to consider the credibility and significance of the sources we rely on. The works of historians or scholars should be assessed not just for the facts they present, but for the context in which they were created. Practical application: recognize the value of scholarly contribution. Just as Josephus' scholarship has had a lasting impact on historical understanding, we can learn to value and contribute to the fields of study that interest us. Every generation benefits from the ideas and insights of those who came before, and we too have a responsibility to contribute to the collective knowledge of our time. Chapter 2: The Life of Josephus. Practical application: embrace resilience in the face of adversity. Josephus' ability to navigate the chaos of the Jewish revolt and adapt to life under Roman rule demonstrates remarkable resilience. In our own lives, we too can draw strength from difficult situations and choose how to respond when faced with adversity. The key is to adapt while maintaining our core values. Practical application: understand the impact of personal decisions. Josephus' decision to surrender to the Romans is a reminder of the power of our choices. Personal decisions often have long-term consequences, and reflecting on our actions and their potential outcomes can help us make wiser, more informed choices in our lives. Practical application: embrace change as a path to growth. Josephus transitioned from a military leader to a historian and writer, showcasing his ability to embrace new opportunities. Just as Josephus adapted to new circumstances, we can also learn to pivot and grow in response to life's challenges, seeing change as an opportunity rather than a threat. Chapter 3: Key Works of Josephus. Practical application: learn from diverse perspectives. Josephus' works span a variety of topics, from historical events to philosophical reflections. This teaches us the importance of exploring a range of viewpoints to gain a fuller understanding of any issue. By learning from different perspectives, we broaden our thinking and develop a more comprehensive worldview. Practical application: preserve knowledge for future generations. Josephus' commitment to documenting history reflects the enduring value of preserving knowledge. Whether in writing, art, or oral traditions, we too should make efforts to document and share the knowledge and insights we acquire. This ensures that valuable lessons are passed on to future generations. Practical application: use writing as a tool for reflection and understanding. Josephus used his writing to understand and convey the complexities of his time. Writing can serve as a tool for processing experiences, expressing thoughts, and reflecting on personal or societal issues. Engaging in writing allows us to clarify our ideas and communicate our truths to others. Chapter 4: Josephus and Jewish Identity. Practical application: embrace and honor cultural heritage. Josephus' exploration of Jewish culture and identity highlights the importance of understanding and honoring one's heritage. In our own lives, we can reflect on our cultural backgrounds and seek to preserve the traditions, values, and beliefs that shape who we are. Practical application: recognize the role of tradition in shaping identity. Just as Josephus saw the Jewish temple as central to Jewish identity, we too should understand how traditions and institutions shape personal and collective identity. Taking time to evaluate what traditions and practices are central to our lives helps us maintain a strong sense of self in the midst of an ever-changing world. Practical application: promote cultural dialogue and understanding. Josephus served as a bridge between Jewish and Roman cultures, demonstrating the value of dialogue between cultures. In our interconnected world, we can foster understanding and respect between different cultures by engaging in open-minded conversations, which help to break down barriers and promote unity. Chapter 5: The Influence of Josephus on Early Christianity. Practical application: consider the impact of historical context on faith. Josephus' writings offer a glimpse into the world in which early Christianity emerged. By reflecting on how history influences the development of faith traditions, we can better understand the roots of our own beliefs and how they are shaped by cultural and historical contexts. Practical application: learn from early Christian historical narratives. The early Christian references to Josephus remind us of the power of historical narratives in shaping religious thought and doctrine. By understanding the interplay between history and theology, we can deepen our appreciation of religious texts and how they reflect the history of the communities that produced them. Practical application: acknowledge the interconnectedness of faith and history. Just as Josephus' writings help us understand the historical backdrop of Christianity, we can see that faith and history are not separate. Our beliefs are often intertwined with the events and circumstances around us. Understanding this interconnectedness helps us see the larger picture in our personal spiritual journeys. Chapter 6: Josephus in Modern Scholarship. Practical application: embrace the rediscovery of lost knowledge. The rediscovery of Josephus during the Renaissance teaches us the importance of revisiting and re-examining past knowledge. In our own professional and personal development, we can benefit from looking back at past teachings, ideas, or experiences and drawing new insights from them. Practical application: engage with contemporary scholarship. Just as Josephus continues to influence modern scholarship, we too should stay engaged with contemporary knowledge and research. Keeping up with the latest developments in our fields of interest allows us to stay informed and contribute to ongoing conversations in our areas of expertise. Practical application: recognize the relevance of the past in understanding the present. Josephus' work remains relevant today, reminding us that the past has much to teach us about the present. We can apply this principle in our own lives by reflecting on past experiences and learning lessons that can help us navigate current challenges. Chapter 7: The Enduring Legacy of Josephus. Practical application: appreciate the enduring impact of historical figures. Josephus' influence on literature, art, and culture demonstrates the lasting power of historical figures. In our own lives, we should recognize the potential for our actions and contributions to leave a lasting impact on those who come after us, encouraging us to live intentionally and meaningfully. Practical application: explore the role of culture in shaping ideas. Josephus' legacy in popular culture and art underscores the profound effect that culture has on shaping ideas and narratives. We can learn to appreciate how art, literature, and culture influence how we understand ourselves and the world, encouraging us to actively engage with and contribute to cultural conversations. Practical application: preserve and share knowledge for future generations. Josephus' enduring legacy teaches us the importance of preserving knowledge and making it accessible to future generations. Whether through teaching, writing, or mentorship, we too can ensure that our knowledge and experiences are passed down to inspire and guide others. Chapter 8: Conclusion. Practical application: reflect on the enduring lessons of history. The lasting lessons of Josephus remind us of the importance of reflection. By looking back at history and considering its impact on the present, we can make more informed decisions and avoid repeating past mistakes. Practical application: embrace the power of legacy. Josephus' legacy continues to influence us today, reminding us that our actions, ideas, and contributions have the potential to last long after we are gone. We can strive to live in a way that leaves a meaningful and positive legacy for future generations. Practical application: draw wisdom from the past for personal growth. By studying the enduring influence of Josephus, we learn that wisdom is timeless. The insights from his life and works can inspire us to grow personally, seek deeper knowledge, and engage with the world in a way that contributes positively to our communities and beyond.